without willingness, without desire, it doesn't matter how skilled you are. The spirit of a person is always going to win.
I want to talk about disobedience and joy. I want to talk about decolonizing joy. I want to talk about sovereignty and joy.
Disregard someone's sovereignty, dignity, and power with love is still to disregard their sovereignty, dignity, and power.
You are listening to the Solving for Joy podcast, where we're mapping new approaches to life's eternal equation and turning our awareness to solving for maximal joy. I'm your host, Dr. Chrissie, a dual board-certified physician, personal professional development coach, and founder of JoyPoint Solutions. May we continue caring for ourselves and others, and may we keep solving for joy. I'll see you on the inside. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Solving for Joy podcast. I am so excited to introduce you to my friend and teacher, someone I love being in conversation with because I never leave the same as I arrived. This is James-Olivia Chu Hillman. She is a facilitator, question asker, and as she puts it, an enthusiastic and loving interrogator of reality. James-Olivia helps examine stories we live with tenderness, precision, a little squirm, which I mean as the highest form of compliment. And I knew that James-Olivia was going to be my teacher and hopefully friend. As soon as I read a post on Instagram, I was just like, this person is challenging things in the most loving, intelligent way. So I spent 9 months in James-Olivia's container regard this year, which I highly, highly recommend. And we are going to get into some stuff. Probably won't be any answers, my friends, but we are going to sit in some good questions. Let's get into it. Welcome, James-Olivia. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Chrissie. I'm like, thank you so much for having me over because I feel like we're in each other's living rooms. So Thanks for having me over.
You're so welcome. So I love to start us off with reflecting on a recent joy. It could be a tiny little joy or a big joy, but I love to start with what's something that's recently brought you joy.
I have a massive list. I'm currently experiencing an enormous amount of joy in my life. I just turned 50. Not much more than a week ago. And there is the amount of gratitude. I don't know how to separate out gratitude and joy. They very often are so intricately interwoven for me that I have not pulled apart the distinctions as clearly as I normally like to pull things apart. So I have an enormous amount of gratitude for getting to see this side of another half century of life. I don't take it for granted. And really, really astounding to me. As a younger, really reckless and foolish person, I was not sure I'd get here. So I'm really happy to be here. And then so that feels like a big thing. There are relational things that bring me a lot of joy. The relationships that I've been fortunate enough to cultivate up to this point in my life bring me an immense amount of joy. And not just joy, an immense amount of purpose and an anchor to this plane. And then the little things like I'm currently obsessed with perfume. Like I love smells. I love fragrances. And so I've been finding little non-toxic, I mean, I guess as non-toxic as perfumes can be, but clean ingredient perfume companies that have little sample packs, like sample kits, and just order sample kits. These little joys, I'm just taken by all the different smells that I have all over me right now. So there are like color, texture, smell, tastes, sensation. Like these are, I'm having a different relationship with my body than I've ever had in my life. And so that attention to this relationship that I'm having to my own sensory experience in a way that's not always uncomfortable because I think I've avoided it because I've always been uncomfortable. This is bringing me an immense amount of joy.
I love it. I wish I could smell what you're smelling like right now.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to thumbtack that for some other time. I want to know more about the details of that. Um, so I have a lot of questions. I, as you know, am very nosy. We share this trait. I delight in my nosiness and the nosiness of others because it just feels like refreshing honesty to claim our nosiness, our wanting to know things. So I'm going to practice some nosiness around here and also
Okay.
just like invite you to connect it to the through line of your work, obviously, as it makes sense. I really want to share with our listeners a little bit about the backbone of regard, the four skills of relating, noting that we could just, talk about that for 4 days and not get anywhere else. But it was such a joy to be in that container with you. And as you pointed out just a moment ago, the joys that come up through our relational practices, the joys that emerge spontaneously, the joys and sorrows that come from that are all very intricately interactive with, interdependent on how skillfully we relate. So can we just hear about the four skills a little bit and see where that takes us, especially in relationship to joy?
Yes. And I want to back up just a little bit from the skills, because the skills are part of it, and it's one of the places that we tend to focus a lot in my containers, like regard and obviously the skills intensive and in paradigm, but skills are only a part of it. And so
Yes.
a more holistic view would be, I tend to think of it in terms of desire, skill, and capacity. And desire, it's not always desire. Maybe we can even scale that back to will, just like willingness. But I think desire is way more fun than just the basic willingness. Without willingness, without desire, it doesn't matter how skilled you are. The spirit of a person is always going to win. So I consider myself a fairly skilled person when it comes to relating to difference. I know how to do it, and I can call upon these skills at will. But if I don't have the will, it doesn't matter whether or not I have
Yeah.
these skills. So there's desire, there's skill, and there's capacity. And sometimes I have the willingness and I have these skills available to me. I've been practicing them for years. And I may or may not, in a certain moment or in a certain season of my life, have the capacity to relate competently, even though I want to, even though I'm trained to, that my emotional, my spiritual, my physiological capacity may not be present. I just may not have it. So,
Me
so
too.
I it's so human. Like, we're just these furry little mammals and we have a limited amount of capacity. Like, we can't do everything all the time for everyone, even for ourselves.
No,
So,
we cannot.
oh, yeah. So I don't like to only put it all on whether or not somebody has the skill to relate, because you may have the skill, and if you don't want to, nobody can tell you anything. And good. Like, good. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have the capacity, that's neither a good nor a bad thing. It's just reality. It's like, okay, let's not have a fight with reality about it. And if you have the desire and you have the capacity, skill is where the juice is for me, because capacity you can cultivate, you can steward your capacity. Your will, that's between you and spirit. That's between you and God, universe, your creator, whatever you know as what you belong to that's greater than yourself. So nobody has any business in your will. But if you want to know how and you want to learn how to have the skills, that's where I come in, because I love it. I love that a skill is something that you can learn how to do, practice it, and get better at it over time. So if you lack the skill, that's not really a big deal. Like, you can get it. I don't know where you get will. That's something you got to pray about. I don't know exactly where you get capacity. That may be something that you get from, community and all the resources that you may or may not have available to you. But skill, you can learn how to do it. You can get better at it. And the skills that we touched on in regard were empathy. So the skill of following somebody, being with
Before
them.
we describe
Oh,
them real quick, may I just say that in real time I'm tracking the joy in my own experience of having you back up and reframe that. Clarification as a lifelong learner is like sweet, sweet nectar. I'm like, yes, thank you for that adjustment. Thank you for that expansion and grounding, because that feels so clear. So thank you for slowing us
yeah.
down and naming those components, because it just feels so true, that recognition of truth that is that learning and remembering coming together. Like, oh yeah, yes, what James-Olivia said feels very nourishing and true in my body. Like, thank you.
I think that I'm so insistent on that frame, not insistent, but I'm so comforted by that framework because the way that I learned skills, they were the be all end all. And I was like, oh, I am trying to learn these skills while I'm overriding my own capacity. I'm overriding my own will, and I'm having a fucking terrible time of it. And so I would try and learn a skill, but be miserable and be crying that I wasn't getting it and judging the shit out of myself. And I never want the people who are learning these skills with me to not have a foundation of, oh, I am more than just whether or not I'm skilled.
Right. I mean, that gets into sovereignty of self as well, which is a whole other beautiful concept that we may visit in relationship to joy.
I would love that.
I want to talk about disobedience and joy. I want to talk about decolonizing joy. I want to talk about sovereignty and joy. So, I mean, we got time. Let's go back to skills. Will you
Okay.
help us now with the skills once somebody has decided that they have desire and will, and once they are engaged with their own capacity and they would like to relate competently, especially through difference? Then we get to think about these next 4 layers.
Mhm. All right, so you want to hear about each skill briefly?
Yes, please, Olivia.
All right, all right. So a little backstory. These skills come from the lineage comes from the work of Carl Rogers, humanistic psychologist. And he identified these attributes that successful therapists seemed to have. And he didn't come up with them. He just observed and named, oh, this is what I see happening over and over again, that these psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists are have these attributes of empathy, congruence, and unconditional positive regard. And Carl Rogers had a very, very big fan in the organizational psychologist Ernie Meadows, who worked with Carl for, I guess, the last 19 years of Carl Rogers' life, and said, I don't actually think that these are attributes, things that people have or don't have. He said, I think that they're skills. I think they're a thing that you can learn and get better at, not just like that. Empathy isn't just like you're either empathetic or you're not, or you either have unconditional positive regard or you don't, that you can actually learn how to practice these things. And he pulled out from empathy the skill of empathic listening. So that became 2 skills, and then congruence and unconditional positive regard. So what Ernie had was that these are 4 skills, and the 4 skills are necessary and sufficient for the successful conduct of relationship, of relating successfully, particularly through difference. So empathy being the skill of not taking on someone's emotions, not this sort of pop psychology, like, oh, I feel what you feel. I'm walking in your shoes. It's like, I don't want to be in your shoes. I, I like these shoes. I'm actually barefoot right now. But as an activity, like not a thing that you have or don't have, but an activity, the activity of empathy is following someone, being with them as they lead you through their experience. So rather than trying to take them out of their discomfort, rather than trying to lead them away from where they are because it doesn't look fun for you, just being there. And that may be uncomfortable. So that may be the part where people are like, oh, okay, I'm feeling what you're feeling. Well, no, you're just feeling your own discomfort as somebody else is also uncomfortable. So empathy is the skill of following. Empathic listening is the skill of going after understanding somebody else as they want to be understood. And this is a skill of the activity is sending back and clarifying and getting confirmation. So this is an interactive activity. It's not something that you can just do to someone. If they are not participating by confirming that you have heard them correctly, you're not doing the skill. So if you tell me, hey, the sky is green and it's got purple polka dots, and I go, oh, well, I understand what you're saying, but I kind of disagree. I have not actually understood you as you want to be understood because I haven't gotten confirmation from you that I heard you. So if you say, yeah, James-Olivia, the sky is green with purple polka dots, and I'm like, I am hearing that the sky is a very different set of colors than what we're used to seeing. And right now, what you've got is it's green and it's got purple polka dots. And you're like, yes. That yes lets me know I just did the activity of empathic listening with you. I sent back what I heard. I maybe even guessed at some of your experience. So I may even say, is that exciting? Is that frightening? That's the empathic part of empathic listening, is like, what are you actually feeling and experiencing in that? And you say, no, I'm neither frightened nor excited. I'm amazed. And I go, oh, it sounds like you're experiencing some wonder right now. And you're like, yes, that's what I'm going for. I'm going after getting a yes from you that I got you.
Yes.
Congruence. This is one of my favorite skills. And I think one of the most difficult skills for a lot of people because we are trained out of our congruence. Congruence is a mathematical term, meaning the size and shape of one thing is the exact size and shape of another thing. And in the skill of congruence relationally, it's the size and shape of what's on the inside of me is the same as the size and shape of what's coming out of me. My verbal message, my body language, my nonverbal message, my actions. So if you say, "Hey, James-Olivia, you look a little concerned and tired," and I'm like, "No, it's fine. I'm fine. It's super fine. Everything's great." And you're like, "Wow, that's not matching." Incongruence reads as inauthenticity and sometimes even lying. Whereas congruence, if you say, "James-Olivia, you look a little tired and concerned," and I'm like, yeah, I was up all night with my dog who was really sick and I'm really worried right now and I'm like worn out. I didn't get much sleep. You're like, what's showing on the outside and what's coming out of your mouth are matching. It reads as authenticity, and it becomes for me, I find it to be a very trustworthy or trust building. I don't know, trust building way of being in the world, because I would much rather know what's real on the inside of somebody and believe it when they say it.
Yes.
I will insert here before I even get to unconditional positive regard that none of these skills are moral obligations, and they're neither good nor bad nor the right or wrong thing to do. So if you do not have it in you to be congruent with somebody, you don't owe it to anybody to be congruent with them. If you don't want someone to know what's going on the inside of you, you don't have to. If you don't want to follow somebody as they lead you through their experience, you don't have to. If you don't want to understand someone, you don't have to. That this is not a value system. It's just a set of tools.
Right. See above about desire and capacity, right?
Exactly.
I have a tiny congruent question slash observation slash exploration. Mathematically, as I remember, congruence can be same shape, different size. And it makes me want to explore and get curious about size and shape
Okay.
of our inner world. What you got?
So I'm looking up congruence. And in mathematics, congruence refers to the property of two geometric figures having the same size and shape. And I
Okay.
think that this is important. I think that same size, same shape is important, particularly in the skill of, manifesting making apparent what's inside you. Like if you say, you know, you seem upset, and I say, and I look like I'm seething
Yeah.
inside, and I say, yeah, I'm a little upset. It's the
Sure.
same shape, but it's not the same size as what's inside me. And if you say, you seem upset, and I say, I'm fuming right now about this,
Yes. Yes.
and I'm not going to take it out on you, but the reality of what's inside me is that my anger is very big, and I'm expressing that it's very big. I don't need to, make a beast of myself about it and threaten you with what's inside me, but I can express with my words that the anger that I'm feeling inside is as big as what it is. So that would be
Thank
same
you for
size, same.
checking that out with me. Yes, that I'm following that. And I have had experiences of, folks, including myself, expressing a diminutive version of their emotional experience. And that did
Mhm.
not land in the energy center of my gut as a trustworthy, authentic, related moment. So yeah, thanks for checking that out with me.
Yeah, thanks for that question. That felt important. So I like it.
Yeah. And we both love precision. I think that there's a great deal of delight in getting incredibly precise with our language.
I do. I also love slop. It's both. I like a lot of things.
Yeah.
Really do like precision a lot, and I enjoy that you appreciate it.
It's kind of like art. Like there are works of art that I could gaze at all day that are like minute in detail,
Mhm.
extremely precise, and they're fabulous in their precision. And then
Yeah.
there are ginormous works of art that I also love that, I mean, I won't say slop, but let's just say they weren't put together in a detailed way, right? That they're just still grand.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for letting me take you off track with congruence. We have empathy, we have empathic listening, we
Hmm.
have congruence, and
Yes.
finally, we have unconditional positive regard.
Yes. Yet another thing before we get to unconditional positive regard. I think a lot of people have practiced empathy already. Like when I'm teaching these skills, people don't tend to have a very difficult time with empathy. It's like, oh yeah, I can
Hmm.
just follow, listen, be with. Particularly healing and helping professionals have
Yes.
an enormous amount of practice with both empathy and empathic listening. And put those two together, and that to me is the foundation of holding space. Like
Hmm.
somebody shows up with their big feelings, with their big experience, with their exploration, with their explanations, and to hold space is to follow them and at times go after understanding what they have. And that's beautiful. I don't I there Sometimes my students will tease me about, like, you have a bias against holding space. I don't. I do not have a bias against holding space, but I do have a bias for relating. And all 4 skills are necessary and sufficient for relating. So using empathy and using empathic listening, really, really fantastic for being with somebody, for getting them. But the relating, like at the heart, the etymology of relating is to and late, to carry back and forth. It's not just being a vessel for somebody to dump their stuff into. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's receiving what you have, making sure I've gotten it, but also bringing what I have, and that's where the congruence comes in. It's like, yes, you are here with your stuff and I want to know you and I am available to be known by you. That's where the congruence comes in. So the congruence skill is locating myself in my own experience and then letting you in on where I am. If I don't know where I am, it's going to be really, really hard to relate successfully to you. I can hear you, I can be with you, I can hold space for you, but I may not be relating to you. And so congruence lets another person locate me in my experience. Your congruence lets me locate you in your experience. And so we get to see each other and go, oh, there you are. Like, yeah, here I am. And we get to be
Yes.
here with each other. Enter unconditional positive regard. And this is the skill of prizing the differences that feel threatening. It's the skill that allows me to be with something that I disagree with, that I don't understand, that I judge, that I fear, and go, just just as you came back and you're like, oh, okay, I'm accepting reality on its own terms. It's the skill of accepting another person as a representative of reality on its own terms. Like
Hell
that you
yeah.
right?
Yes.
That
Right.
you show up in my life and I don't need you to be any different for me to be okay. And it's the skill of making that decision and staying with myself to the extent that if staying with myself means that I can no longer regard you with warmth as a representative of reality that I don't have to judge and I don't have to change, if I can't do that, that staying with myself and remaining committed to my own integrity means I can put that skill aside and go, oh, you know what? I'm no longer in a position to relate with you through this difference. That
Mm.
I may not have the capacity. That's where the will and capacity come in. I may not have the will and I may not have the capacity, and I can regard myself also as a representative of reality. I don't need to be different for me to be okay. If I don't have the will, if I don't have the skill, if I don't have the capacity, I'm still okay.
Yes. And appreciating that the will and the capacity are dynamic partners in this dance. That
Yes.
will changes, the capacity also
Yeah.
changes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So that was the probably broadest, briefest overview of the skills. And we spent 9 months exploring concepts of right relationship and also dabbling in the skills. But I feel like until you get into a space where you just get to practice these skills under a little bit of pressure, it's kind of like splashing around in the kiddie pool or watching swimming videos, but you never really like get into a body of water and
Mm-hmm.
and learn how to swim.
Yes. You need the immersion,
Mm-hmm.
the immersion experience. I'm thinking about empathy and empathic listening in the way that you approach them as a physician. I'm thinking
Okay.
about how it is to acknowledge the meaning making that our patients often have,
Mm-hmm.
because they might say, you know, my ear hurts, and it might be loaded with fear, and it might be a glancing observation.
Yeah.
Ear pain is not like a common complaint or anything. It's just like what popped into my brain. But when we practice those skills as you have shared them, and as you teach them, it can deepen so much the experience of the people we care for being deeply heard, and actually acknowledging what fears and anxieties or hopes or understandings or misunderstandings they're actually bringing to
Yeah.
that relationship, because of course that is a relationship and it has an interesting dynamic. I'm just like going a little bit off now
Mhm.
because the congruence for a clinician is somewhat uh, edited, I will say, is the word
Yeah.
I'm going to try out here, by their professional role.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. So I'm just playing with the tools in this context.
Yeah. It feels important to address anybody who's in a helping or healing profession. So much congruence is trained out of us
Correct.
professionally, particularly physicians, therapists, clergy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
there's,
Yeah. We are an automatic robot. We execute compassion.
yeah. And you may feel a lot and you may have a lot. And it's like, well, how much of this am I supposed to bring? How much am I allowed to bring? How much of myself do I get to bring to these
Mm-hmm.
relationships where someone else is depending on me to um, be a competent professional and address their concerns and not try and shape them into a piece of the world I want to make? And again, these are not a value system where they're moral imperatives like I'm supposed to be congruent, I have to be congruent or I'm a bad person. Being congruent is neither good nor bad. It's neutral and it has a place. And there are times when my congruence may be with a client. If I'm fully congruent, I might be sitting there going, "Oh wow, I'm judging you right now. That's my congruence.
Right.
I'm really judging you." That's not helpful. That's not, it's not a really, it's not going to produce the relational results that I'm looking for. Not that I'm saying manipulate relationships by, choosing which skills to use when, but what does it serve? And these skills are to be chosen when they serve you, when they
Yeah.
serve what you're trying to get done. And if what I'm trying to get done, and that sounds really, pragmatic, and I am in some ways a very pragmatic person despite being really, really woo and dreamy. Like what I want, say, in my relationship with a romantic partner or a dear friend may be intimacy, and I'm not going to get that without a great deal of congruence. I'm not going to be able to cultivate or access intimacy without the vulnerability of showing what I have inside. In a more professional setting, I may want to use congruence in a more targeted and sparing way. So I'm using empathy, I'm using empathic listening, I'm finding out what's going on underneath your experience of your earache. Like, what does that mean to you? What is it like for you? Tell me about your experience. Okay, I'm hearing that you're scared. I'm hearing about some of your family history. I might say congruently, that matters to me. That sounds really scary and that matters to me. And I don't want you to have a fearful experience. And what I want is to give you the best possible care. That's congruent.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that helps me relate. Now my patient can locate where I am in relationship to them and their pain. So it's not
Yes.
like, hey, let me tell you all about my family history and all about like all the things I'm feeling and thinking, but I do want what's inside me that I have for you to match what's coming out of my mouth and what I'm how I'm caring for you and how I'm treating you. So there is a place
Yes.
for it, but it might not be let me congruence doesn't mean total transparency at all times. It means
Yes.
what I have, what I'm holding is what I'm sharing. I don't know if that actually addressed what you were talking about. Where
Yes.
are
I
we? Where are
think
you?
um, where I am is feeling that that all tracks and really enjoying contemplating how much congruence is trained out of us and how a prerequisite to, you know, even situationally specific congruence. I notice I did not say the word appropriate, but situationally specific is it requires us to have a certain level of self-awareness, which
Mhm.
may or may not be available. That's a capacity question. And a metacognitive sort of mindfulness. It's a word I don't use very often as it's had the meaning beaten out of it. But I think that there is a bit of self-knowing required, which is a maturational subject. And I'm just dearly loving holding these concepts next to one another.
You're hitting on something really, really key to congruence, and that is self-awareness. If you are not aware of what's going on inside you, it's very, very difficult to share with somebody else so that they can be aware. You may be, I may be having a tantrum and yelling like, I'm not okay and I don't feel good and nothing feels right and I'm itchy and I'm uncomfortable. Like, I'm being congruent. What's coming out of me is exactly what's happening on the inside of me. And there's some level of self-awareness there. I also may be having a tantrum in a very incongruent way where my tantrum is focused on external things and your behavior and what I'm not getting from you that I want and what's not happening for me that I wish was happening. Or it could be positive. It doesn't always have to be negative. Like I might say, Chrissie, you're so fantastic. And this is you create such a good podcast experience and you've done such a good job. And I'm busy judging you affirmatively and telling you all about you, but I've said nothing about me. And congruently, what I could say is, Chrissie, I'm having a great time, which is an awareness of what my experience is, not just what you have done
Yes.
or not done.
And it deepens and develops relating.
Yes.
So bringing joy back in to the
Mm,
conversation, what are some fun ways to discover? We're going to say fun because it is fun to
fun is
discover
fun.
even the dark things. So we're going to take a little dark swerve, but like, where are we undermining one another's joy, even when we have intentions otherwise?
How do you define joy?
Thank you for asking. I define joy as meaning, alignment, and delight, that there is a coincidence of meaning, alignment, and delight. It is my working definition. It's been my working definition for a while now.
Okay.
I'm still into it, but I am always open to revisiting and assessing. How do you define joy?
I don't know that I've given this much depth of thought. I think I probably carry my conditioned definitions around like what I've taken in culturally. My friend Lauren Rosenfeld and teacher, she's a friend and teacher of mine, was talking to me about how she parses joy and happiness, that we
Mm-hmm.
tend to culturally conflate joy and happiness. And I'm going to completely miss what she had for me. So I credit her with the conversation and the consideration, and please do not take anything that I'm saying as though it is her teaching, because I will be getting it wrong.
Noted.
But the idea that happiness is the delight part, right? The delight with not necessarily the meaning and alignment, that kind of satisfaction and
Mm-hmm.
contentment,
Mm-hmm.
where joy, and maybe even pleasure, whereas
Mm-hmm.
joy, I think, probably tracks more to what you have, which is there's a there's a meaningfulness in it. And when I hear alignment, there's a piece of congruence in that for me. Part of congruence is alignment.
Yeah.
But I think of the alignment of integrity, right? Where my commitments and my decisions are aligned. And in that there's a word that's coming up for me around joy, is there's a peace to joy that happiness may not have. Happiness might have some ecstasy to it and it might have some
Mm.
mania even, but joy seems like perhaps a natural state when nothing else is in the way, and we are experiencing the alignment and the pleasure and delight that comes with that alignment.
Yes, I'm feeling vibrational like information. Like it has a lower vibration than what we call happy,
Mm-hmm.
or a more harmonic vibration that has multiple like chords in it. Lower bass notes included.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I may be putting more on it than what I actually have, but I'm thinking about there may be a sobriety to it, and I don't mean somberness. I mean not um it's not coked up happiness.
Yes, it's more than gratification.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, that was a long exploration of the meaning of joy. It's so long that now I have forgotten the original question, and I didn't mean to stray so far. Are you willing to take
Um,
me?
I am so willing. Yes. It was about ways that we may sabotage or undermine joy in relationship when we are, you know, relating unskillfully, or, what are we doing outside of our actual intention
Yeah. Oh, and
to
that
limit
that
joy?
seems to speak to the alignment part of joy, right? If we're talking about purpose, alignment, and delight. Oh, I love three-legged stool frameworks. Like
Mhm.
purpose, alignment, delight, that just tickles me. My purpose or my intention in relating to you may be all good, like copacetic, and then my alignment may be kind of fucked up. That what I'm what I intend and what I'm doing, when we're talking about skill, it's like I'm going after
Mhm.
something, but I'm going after it clumsily, or with my habitual other skills that I've learned that don't actually work in a situation with you, relating to you.
Yeah.
And in that misalignment, in that clumsiness, perhaps neither one of us gets much delight. Or you may be amused and you might have plenty of delight, but I don't because I'm not getting what I want.
Yes. I'm thinking about, the many ways that we can miss each other in trying to relate.
Yeah.
And one of those ways, a way that you introduced me to during regard, was the concept of benevolent contempt.
We love that one, don't we? I
I mean,
love.
this is like, yes, this is the greatest hits, greatest hits album right here. Um, let's talk about benevolent contempt. I immediately was like, ooh, ouch, that's me. I recognize how this has shown up in my life in the past, present. Like, let's let's share about benevolent contempt for those who don't know it.
That seems like part of the physician starter kit. Like, if you don't get that with your degrees, what did you go to school for?
Oh, yes.
I wish I could see your face right now. So if you're willing to tell me what was behind that oof, I would love to hear it.
There was a smile happening with the oof. My congruence in this moment is thinking about, like, I guess my congruence is not actually what I'm thinking about, but I'm looking forward to the conversation about benevolent contempt and sort of revisiting it. And
Uh-huh.
I'll start with what I've got and ask you to shape it a little
Okay.
bit.
Yeah, I'd love that.
For my recollection and current moment's brain capacity to explain, benevolent contempt might be summed up in bless their heart. Oh, bless their heart. Y'all know I come from Texas originally. So,
Perfect.
my
That's it.
people came from Mississippi. There's a whole bunch of South in me. And bless their heart is not usually intended to construe absolute favor and closeness. It is a looking down upon.
Huh.
I have had relationships in my life where I felt like I was in some way doing someone a favor by
Uh-huh.
maintaining relationship with them. And
Yes.
that is where I spot benevolent contempt.
Hmm.
Gross, but also so human. Um, so help me shape
Yeah,
that.
that's spot on. That's so spot on. Particularly, I think the first example is funny. The second example is um, where it really, really lives, where it's hard. The harder it is to spot, that's when you know you're getting close to it. It's like, I'm here, let me help you.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
benevolent contempt masquerades as care without the benefit of input from the other, without the benefit of relating to the other. I know better than you do what you need. You came to me to share something about what is troubling your heart, and I have advice for you. I know how to make your suffering stop. There's a story that Ernie Meadows would talk about. He called himself a recovering helper. And these are all secondhand stories, by the way. I never met Ernie. I only I studied with people in his lineage, including his daughter Katie, and one of one of their students, and several, I guess, several of their students, but one in particular, and students of their students. So this is a story that I've heard secondhand, but Ernie would tell it as a recovering helper, and the story is only one sentence long. It goes,
Mhm.
"Let me help you," said the monkey as he placed the fish safely up the tree.
Mm.
That to me just encapsulates benevolent contempt.
I love a short story.
That is
It's
the
very
shortest short
precise.
stories.
Let me help you, said the monkey as he placed the fish up the tree. Yes.
Yep.
Um,
Safely up the tree. Like,
safely, even.
mm-hmm.
So carefully, so lovingly, with
Yeah.
so much intent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what many nonprofits and charities are operating from. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that
I am
you
absolutely with Issa Rae and Insecure. Have you watched Issa Rae and Insecure?
only a little bit. I find her so flipping adorable that I can't
Uh-huh.
hardly stand it. I love her face.
She's so gorgeous.
I know. I know.
She works for this nonprofit in LA that is like intended to serve, children of color, children with poverty in their background, and it's run by
Mhm.
all of these do-good white people, and
Uh-huh.
it's really awkward, and benevolent contempt applies.
That
In
is
fact,
it.
it's called We Got You is the name of the organization. It's like so cringy and hilarious. Anybody who has not watched Insecure, I highly recommend it. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, benevolent contempt really hinders our capacity to relate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I it feels important to define contempt so that understanding benevolent contempt is easier. I don't have the contempt is disdain. I think a lot of people hold contempt as a synonym for disdain, and I don't have that. I have that
Mhm.
contempt is a is disregard. It's disregard for the sovereignty and dignity and power that someone else actually has. So to disregard someone's sovereignty, dignity, and power with love is still disregarding their sovereignty, dignity.
Yes. Mm. Could you say that delicious sentence one more time?
Yes, to disregard someone's sovereignty, dignity, and power with love is still to disregard their sovereignty, dignity, and power.
Yes. I know that you are always inherently speaking about adult to adult relationships. And also, as a parent, I hear that and I think about how we sometimes, as parents, disregard the growing sovereignty, the moving target of sovereignty, dignity, and humanity in our kiddos. And it's tricky. And it's not to like go off a huge tangent, but it just like it invites me to think about, even though these are adult principles, they are still something to ponder in our relationships with young humans too.
Okay, that feels important. I love that you're bringing in, where these principles apply with children, because I don't think it's not necessarily that different with doctor-patient
Exactly.
relationships,
Yeah.
where one person
Yeah.
has an extraordinary amount relative to the other, an extraordinary amount of expertise, experience, and responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
and the other has much less expertise, experience, or responsibility. but their sovereignty and their dignity are no less than each other's.
Yes. Their
So,
humanity is no
yeah,
less than each other's.
exactly. And so the sovereignty part for me is not a moving target. A person's sovereignty, their self-governance, their ability to have a yes or a no, their ability to make decisions doesn't necessarily mean they have agency. Agency and sovereignty are not the
Mm,
same. So
another beautiful precision.
yeah,
Yes. Okay.
their agency and their responsibilities may be moving
Hmm.
targets, but their
Hmm.
sovereignty is absolute.
Yeah. Um, so sovereignty and agency. Agency brings me to disobedience. And I think that you and disobedience and joy would be a really fun mix. Let's talk about the joy of disobedience.
Oh, okay. I, having been raised to be good, I find
Yes.
a not inconsiderable amount of joy at doing whatever the fuck I want. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean there are no consequences. Disobedience has consequences, and I find that if the consequences are not going to be joyful for me, I don't bother with the disobedience. Obedience also has consequences, and a lot of times the consequences of obedience are not joyful too. So
Hmm.
what I tend to go where the fun and joy are. That's where I want to go. That's my intention. And so I don't happen to care whether it's obedience or disobedience that
Hmm.
gets me there. Subject verb agreement. Mm. I-
Hmm.
But but I don't want obedience to be my default if disobedience is going to get me closer to joy. So we were talking about with Kelsey, your producer, before we started recording. She had sent me a little form to fill out, a pre-show, like, what song do you want to play to, kind of, I guess, get you in the mood, or like,
Yes.
what do you want to be called? What do you want? How do you want Chrissy to introduce you? And one of my joyful disobediences is that I don't do homework to be on podcasts. And so the first one I was just like, oh, I'll just put this off and I'll kick this can down the street. And if I feel like doing it. And so Kelsey gave me a little nudge yesterday, another email, and was like, this would be really helpful for Chrissy. This actually makes it, it was a really sweet email. It was just a little nudge. This is a helpful thing for Chrissy to have a grounded experience going into it. And I was like, oh, that, that reasoning that gives me meaning and alignment. What was the other thing? Meaning, alignment, and
Delight.
delight. Delight.
Hmm.
So understanding the meaning, like, oh, this is something that's helpful for Chrissy to have a different kind of experience that she wants to have in my care for you and in my desire for you to have a wonderful experience talking to me on your own podcast, as much as for me to have a wonderful experience of being here. I was like, oh, now I have meaning, and there's alignment for me. The decision and the action are now aligned, and I have delight in that. So it became a joyful thing to, it wasn't about the obedience or the disobedience. It was like, well, what's the alignment here? And so the
Yeah.
disobedience was fun while it was fun, and then when it wasn't, and it wasn't as aligned, the compliance or obedience became more joyful.
I recognize my own patterns very much in that, and having not ever described them that way, I feel delight in seeing them so articulately named and described. I am always solving for joy. I am looking for the good time and the connected time, and
Mhm.
I want the time that has meaning, alignment, and delight in it. It's not just about gratification. And
Yeah.
I am with you. I don't label myself a rule follower, and I do not label myself a rule breaker, but I am a pragmatist about rules.
Yeah. Yeah. If something doesn't make sense, I don't want to do it.
Ditto. We have been some super beautiful places. I am aware of our time growing short. And I think that it would be wonderful to think about how all of this together serves us in pursuing our own dynamic, pursuit of joy. And thinking about this, especially in this particular cultural moment in the United States, where we think, okay, how do I solve for joy in the midst of relative reality serving up so many complexities, so many opportunities to feel despair?
Okay. I feel like you just put me in front of the longest buffet table ever, filled with everything, and you're like,
Here's a teaspoon.
"Yeah, go ahead, make plate." And I'm like,
Make yourself this tiny little plate.
"So
James-Olivia,
much."
we'll have more conversations. We must have more conversations to share. So disregard the buffet. Do what feels fun and good, and everything else is gonna work out.
Okay, I I hesitate. That's my congruence right now. I hesitate right now because what I want to say may be a little, it may be like a little splinter that just pokes in a really weird way. And I don't know if it will be or not, so I'm just going to say it despite my trepidation.
I trust, I invite, that is my congruence.
Oh, that's thanks. Thank you. What if joy is not always a thing to solve for, given the horrors? Let's just, given the horrors and how much there is to actually solve. There
Yeah.
are legit problems to be solved, many of
Yeah.
them. Many of them life and death. So given all that, what if we framed joy not always as a thing to be solved for, but as a thing to be allowed? That what if there was not a thing to be done? What if there was no
Mhm.
work other than to let it in? I don't think that's always the case. And I think very often what are what these thinking brains love to do is solve a problem, so much so that
Mm.
we'll make one. Because
Mhm.
how can my brain be useful at solving the problems if I don't have a problem? And and I suspect that there are times when we can just put down even the idea that there must be a problem. And with our sensing bodies, allow ourselves to experience what is our birthright, what is available to us, even amidst the horrors.
Yes, I am flowing with that question. What my brain serves up is, yes, like even in times of horror, even in times of physical pain, we may be able to find a little joy in one part of our body, in one small part of our body. I will not propose to answer, but I think that letting the rhetorical question be savored is actually, that's the way.
And I don't want to diminish the the actual work and the actual solving that there is to be done and that can be done with, like, that sometimes we work for it and fight for it too.
Yeah. Yes. Two truths that appear to oppose one another are often excellent neighbors. I adore you. This has brought me meaning, alignment, and delight. Thank you so much, James-Olivia.
Well, likewise, and thank you. I have enjoyed our conversations for the last almost year so much, and to continue them and have one in this way in public is, I also experience meaning, alignment, and delight. So thank you.
And to mix it all up with gratitude, just as at the beginning. I am so grateful.
Same. Me too.
All right, friends, until next time, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
James-Olivia, thank you for your care, your precision, and your courage. You have invited us to slow down, get honest about desire, skill, and capacity to relate, to practice the skills of relating. And I am so grateful to you. If something here stayed with you, listeners, a sentence, a question, a newly felt sense, would you please consider leaving us a written review and a comment? I read every single one, and even a few words will help others find these conversations when they need them. Thank you so much for considering. Next week, I will be joined by my dear friend, Dr. Bob McCauley, a pediatric palliative care physician, Episcopal priest, and author of the new book, Because I Knew You: How Some Remarkable Sick Kids Healed a Doctor's Soul. We talk about what joy looks like in real-world medicine, the search for the least bad option, and the moments that hold us together. You won't want to miss it. And if you haven't registered yet and you happen to be a physician coach or a physician who is coaching curious, please check out the details to this amazing opportunity at thephysiciancoachingsummit.com. It is like sleepaway camp meets high-level conference meets super comfy retreat. We would love to have you join us. And as always, a quick note before we go. I'm a doctor, but not your doctor. This podcast is for education and connection only and is not to be construed as medical advice. Please speak with your own clinician about your specific situation. Big thanks, as always, to our amazing producer, Kelsey Vaughn, to my wife, Sue, and to all who listen and sneak me little notes of encouragement and appreciation. May we keep choosing to be present for each other, to choose empathy, empathic listening, congruence, and unconditional positive regard. May we find our way back to joy even in our hardest moments. Take care, guys. I'll see you soon.